Hello everyone, I'm Atefeh Mohammadi from Iran, and I'm so happy to have this chance to talk to you about the Arabic Persian web font readability, because we are currently experiencing a shift from printed paper to computer screens, and this transition is altering how we read and how we understand the text. Considering the digital media provides us the fastest means to do some activities such as reading, this is really important for typeface designers to design the appropriate web font, especially for line blocks of text, to enhance the level of the readability. And this is where the Arabic typefaces encounter the new challenges. In print media throughout type, the type design method have changed in responses to the limitation of various print technology, and many features of Arabic calligraphy have been neglected. This has destroyed its identity, and unfortunately, this challenge persists on the web. So in this presentation, I want to talk about the principles of beauty and readability in Arabic scripts, and at the same time, I want to examine its compatibility to the pixel structure of computer screens. For this purpose, in addition to a study of the NASA script, I want to talk about the two famous web fonts, Arabic web fonts, that many browsers still use them, such as Tahoma and Sego UI, because many Persian typeface designers believe that the design of these two fonts has not followed the structure and aesthetic of Arabic scripts. So, for the first step, let's review the pixel structure of computer screens and the effect of this structure on readability. Most screens are made up of small units that are called pixel, and as you zoom in, the pixel appear as a single square with 3 subpixels. These subpixels consist of 3 colors, the 3 famous colors that we all know them: red, green, and blue, R, G, and B. Placing these colored lights side by side and turning them on or off makes the letters appear smooth and without the rough edge. As you can see in this picture, the degree of sharpness and readability in horizontal and vertical straight forms is more than circular and curved forms. And this is because a pixel is completely off or on. In other words, in circular form, the colored lights R, G, and B are not equally on or off, and that is causes the different resolution displays. The greatest effect on brightness belong to color G, followed by R, and finally B. And the difference in the effect of the filters on the light output softens the main form of circular movement. So as a result, it gives better clarify on the letters. What improved the readability in this process is proper control on pen rotation in loops and curve forms and bolts. This is all about the readability on web screens, but reading comprehension is not a simple process. It is important that the typeface can make an interaction between the readers and the text for the purpose of comprehension. This interaction should bring about the pleasant feeling for the readers. So it is necessary for the type to fit the writing and calligraphy culture of its audience, in addition to meeting practical requirements. This is where the need for the knowledge of the principles and root of the Arabic scripts arises. All scripts in Arabic Persian language follow the same readability rules, which guarantee the beauty and readability, which are baseline, proportion, composition, and principles. Now we want to adopt the principles of readability and beauty of Arabic scripts to the structure of pixels. To do this, as I said before, I will compare Tahoma and Sego UI and Debug font, which is my latest experience in designing an Arabic Persian font for print and web space, with the principle of beauty and readability of Arabic calligraphy or Arabic scripts, and in addition, I will place them in pixel space. Principles means root and foundation that refers to things such as strength and weakness, the pen angle, the straight and curved form, and the black and white space in the loops. In Arabic Persian letters, when the pen moves horizontally and parallel to the baseline, the entire width of the pen is placed on the paper, so the maximum thickness of the pen is in horizontal direction, while vertical movement use only a fraction of the pen thickness. In Tahoma and Sego UI fonts, designers have created a balanced blackness throughout the letters by reducing the thickness, contrast, and variation in vertical and horizontal movement. This keeps the proportion of the letters and increases the readability in the pixel environments of the screens. We can say that the pen angle in these two fonts is one of these four modes: 0, 45, 19, or 135 degrees. You can see in this picture the angle of the pen makes the edge of the forms very sharp. In this picture, I put Tahoma and Sego UI Arabic fonts on 40 and 24 pixel screens to examine them into low and high level of the resolution. By this picture, you can compare the sharpness of the edge of the letters form in Tahoma, Sego UI, and Nasr script. As you can see, Tahoma and Sego UI are more sharp than Nasr script. This is inevitable that the extensive experience of the designers in Latin fonts has resulted in their shared attitude toward the Arabic Persian letters. So this has removed the original identity that we see in Arabic Persian scripts. Latin letters are more abstract than Arabic Persian letters, as they are all made up of the original shapes like circle, triangle, and squares. While the forms of the Arabic Persian letters are more diverse, they can become a family with common characteristics. The direct movement of the pen in writing is called straight, and the rotation move of the pen called curve. In Tahoma and Sego UI fonts, the straight forms are dominant to the curve forms. Indeed, the direct movement of the pen is more than the rotational movement, even in connection and joint of the letters. This means that the pen in the connected letter moves the straight left to the right on the baseline and then start its ascending movement. Although in Sego UI fonts, due to its larger loop, it looks like there are more circular movements used, but overall, the ratio of the straight forms in the fonts is still more than curves. This makes sense to make the letters more readable. Remember how the pixels were arranged and how they affected to the vertical and horizontal movement of the pen. Ratio or proportion includes similar forms in similar letters and the moderation and proportion in the single individual letters and similar combination of letters. In other words, one of the main factors in maintaining the readability of a family of letters is to balance the proportion between black and white space. In family of letters, in order to preserve the balance of the black and white space or the gray space of the text, it is essential for the letters to follow the same rules in the pen movement, letter forms, proportion, and the positive and negative balance. In this picture, you can see some of the similar form in Arabic typefaces, such as keshide in kaf, fe, be, and bol in sad, nun, and sin. This is obvious that in Tahoma fonts, designer designed each letter separately in all its position, the first letter, middle, and last letter. In other words, lots of energy and time has been used in designing the letters separately, in contrary to the basic principles of Arabic Persian script rule. This is caused by the extreme focus on matching each letters with the pixel space of the screens. In the Arabic Sego UI fonts, apart from some cases such as separate ain and connected ain, is totally better design in compared with the Tahoma font. The proper baseline division in the font's design has a direct effect on the scales, size, and proportion of the letters. So, as a result of the correct size and scale in the font's design, the readability, visual harmony, and beauty increases. The ratio of the first tooth to the middle one, the ratio of the baseline fe to the height aleph, and the ratio of the ascender and descender, the position and the scale of the dots, can make the letters readable and beautiful. What is obvious at a glance into Tahoma and Sego UI fonts is the reduction of the heights of the letters. The placement of the baseline in both fonts is in approximately a 1:4 ratio. In fact, similar to Latin fonts, a large part of letters and words body are located above the baseline, so it is reducing the readability in small sizes. Another limitation in the location of the dots at the lower parts of the letters. The designers of these fonts inevitably move the dots in the letters P and Ya closer to the body of the letters. In Arabic Persian language, letters connected generally and sometimes they are written separately. All the letters can connect to their previous letter from the right side unless grammatical rules limit it. This creates a gap between the letters in the word and it causes empty space in the text. In general, there are three categories of spacing in Arabic Persian writing: spacing between letters or tracking, spacing between words or kerning, and the spacing between lines. The space between the letters on the screen should be between 5 to 10 units to maintain greater readability. Reducing this distance makes the letters appear more narrow on the screens. In the design of Tahoma and Segoyai fonts, the spacing between the letters varies, although these changes are not significant to cause a visual clutter. The beginning of the word should be accompanied by the appropriate distance from the end of the previous word. This causes the pleasant gray space for the eye. The Tahoma font, as we see in this figure, has a problem in kerning between the words, and this causes disturbance and imbalance in the negative space and creates an unbalanced gray space. In the Sego UI fonts, despite the visible control over the spacing between the words, it is still unbalanced, unfortunately. The spacing between the lines in digital environments is 120% of the space between the ascender and the descender, while this amount is 140% in print. On the other hand, as a number of characters in a line increases, the space between the line grows. In Tahoma and Sego UI fonts, despite their imbalanced spacing between the words, the spacing of the line has been very precise and well calculated. Ligature is a single form in a typing environment that connects the shape of two or more letters whose components collide with each other to create the new forms. Among all the other features of typefaces, ligature can display the most aspects of Arabic Persian scripts in the font. In Tahoma and Sego UI fonts, the ligature of connected Ya is completely different from what we see in the Nasb script, and it is totally wrong. Finally, Tahoma and Sego UI is abstracted in forms, in pen movement, and in pen thickness. And this has created good coordination with the placement of the pixel and increased the readability of the letters on the screens. In general, we can say that the most prominent feature of Tahoma and Sego UI fonts is that these fonts have been designed and hinted for the beginning for digital media and 72 and 96 dpi resolution environments. And this issue has caused these two fonts to be separated from the Arabic Persian scripts. This is time to look at Dibaj font. Dibaj was designed for using in line text, therefore readability was really important there. And in addition to readability, I try to keep the Arabic Persian calligraphy culture in this font. So I can say Dibaj is a traditional and at the same time is a modern typeface. The factors that were considered to maintain its readability in the text size were relatively large loops and maintaining the principles of correct spacing in accordance with the rhythm and formal writing the letters to create a healthy text gray. And we can see the exaggeration in the vertical axis of the letters in Dibaj. There is a balanced ratio of the direct movement of the pen and the circular movements. And in terms of the thickness, in addition to maintaining a low contrast between the maximum and minimum thickness of the pen, it is still readable against the pixel structures. In Dibaj fonts, all 5 baselines of Arabic scripts are applied, and this makes this right proportion between the size of the letters and easier movement of the audience eyes on the lines. Look at the similar forms in the letters. This allows the audience to record the same code in their mind in less times and to read the text more easily and quickly, so it makes debug fonts more readable. To eliminate the white reveal in the text and to create the balanced gray in whole text, the spacing between letters, words, and lines in debug font has been done with many experiments, and also it is done separately in different weights. Debug has 9 weights which are totally different taste and character to each other. The basic weights are suitable for using in line text of books, magazine, and etc. And its thick weights are suitable for graphic words and advertisements. At the end, you can see the coordination of debug different weights with the pixel structure. And despite its a serif typeface, it has a good readability on the screens. I'm so thankful that you attend to this presentation.